You remember all this? Again, National Report followed this story for you a few years back. Earlier this year, a group committed truckers came together to fight for their rights. Now, as their fight is firmly in the rearview mirror at this time, it's time to reflect, can you believe that, on what can be learned from their activism to work for a better tomorrow. BJ Dichter is the former spokesperson of that Freedom Convoy. He's also the author of a new book, Honking for Freedom. We heard quite a bit of that. There is the book there. Good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on, BJ. We appreciate that. Talk to us about that. And maybe you look at that video and you hear the sounds. What comes to mind?
It comes to, I think of all the emotions and feelings that brought us together, which we encapsulated in a simple phrase of peace, love, unity, and freedom. It was the most amazing, unifying experience that our country has ever had. We had people from across the country, whether they're from Quebec or Alberta, which normally there was always a little bit of friction. All that fell by the wayside. Everybody started to love each other. They had barbecues together. They fed the homeless. They cleaned up the city. Crime dropped. Crime plummeted the weekend that we were there. So it was absolutely just an historical moment. I often refer to it as Canada's Woodstock moment.
Well, the power that you had, that all of you had. It's one thing to exercise your rights there and maybe hold a sign or a poster.
Yeah.
You had a tractor trailer. You had an 18-wheelers there lined up. So clearly created quite the scene. And we think back to, again, the purposes of it. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, maybe you know this, set to testify over his use of the Emergency Powers Act in Canada. Essentially, one of the parts to stop your protest. What do you make of this? Perhaps, what do you want to see from the Prime Minister? What do you want to hear from the Prime Minister on this, now that you're looking back?
It would be nice to see some honesty, but we've been waiting for that for 7 to 8 years, so I'm not all that optimistic that we're going to see some honesty. I think what we're going to see is some name-calling and referring to white supremacists, extremists, whatever pejorative they're going to try to give us. I testified on November the 3rd, and what was interesting is there's 20 parties that have standing in this commission that's investigating the government's action, because this is the government that's now on trial, essentially. Of the 20 parties, 19 of them represent the government. Only one represents half of the board of the truckers that set up the Freedom Convoy. So it's become a little bit of a sideshow. Many people are very skeptical of the report that's going to come out as a result of it. But I don't see anything substantive from him, because we've never seen anything substantive from him in all the years that he's been in power. So what's going to change now?
This report, and again, you testified some 2.5 weeks ago that you said the Prime Minister and others will as well. When it's all said and done, what are they hoping to accomplish from this? Final thoughts on that?
Well, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to save their reputation and save any possibility of prosecution. I think what we'll see, listen, this is how politics works, especially when the Liberals are in power and the left is in power. What's going to happen? We're going to get a report that says truckers bad, government bad, don't do it again. Here's some amendments to the legislation, and that's it. Anything beyond that, I think, would be amazing. I'm just personally a little bit skeptical, because we've seen nothing other than that throughout this whole episode.
They stand for peace, love, unity, and freedom, according to BJ Dichter there, the former spokesperson for the Freedom Convoy. There is Honking for Freedom.
Yes.
I'll give you 20 seconds really quick. What's in that book?
This is all the beautiful and positive stories and the outcomes from the convoy. I mean, there was obviously a lot of issues we were dealing with. We had the world around us. But all the themes of coming together, all the individual stories, it's not just my story. There's stories from other people and their experience of what went on. And the endorsement was from somebody who helped me, who I talked to regularly during the convoy, a gentleman by the name of Jordan B. Peterson. You might have heard of him before. And he read the manuscript when we basically had it tied up, and he seemed to agree and love it, because we need to show the truth of what happened, and it also has to be in a way that's digestible to everybody, people across the political spectrum. So even liberals can read this book and walk away with a good feeling and get a little teary-eyed about how our country came together.
So much that everyone went through across this world, including right there in Canada. BJ Dichter joining us live there. Good to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.